Um, Another thing in reference to this is I would like to advocate for a call, a really concentrated effort to do a call for facilities usages. Now that we have these open for properties, we didn't know that we could start requesting those for usage. So we need to make a call. Hey, we have all these facilities and we want to partner with organizations. So we're minimizing our liability by leaving properties there that are being unused and perhaps inhabited by unhoused people or other things. So in direct correlation with this, it's not just don't sell the properties. I'm not going to neglect that these properties are there and now we have to maintain them. Now they're a liability for, vagrants. So let's be proactive. If we're going to not sell them, now let's be proactive in how we're going to use them. So I'd like to advocate for a large call out to local, we'll just start low hanging fruit with recreational programs to start making it accessible. I would, I, this is just my suggestion, right? We all could contribute. I gave the floor to everybody. So we could start maximizing these use of all these spaces. Mr. Kwok?
Yeah, just briefly. Well, I certainly don't support the vagrant point, right? But again, I think the one thing, and again, I don't know the answer to this, right? But the one thing that I am interested, if we get to that point, because I don't know what's going to be, going on in our workshops, right? But just to see what are the costs with respect to these properties, because obviously, just having the property and having nobody there, there's still going to be costs. How much there? No clue, right? So I've already advocated again, and this is not a revelation, but in board meetings that the one thing that we need is more gyms, right? So I had mentioned that one thing we could do is convert the cafeterias into gyms, right, for our kids. But at any rate, I thought it was important that I just make that point. But again, I need to learn myself, as we go through this. Thank you very much, Madam President, for the opportunity. I yield the floor back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Kwok. And so, in general, I don't know if this is appropriate time, but I think we need to, I would like to agendize a discussion on how we're going to use our empty properties, directly in correlation with this. And so whether we do it now or in our meeting, that's going to be coming down the pipeline because we do not want to just have vacant properties that are more of a liability. Now, in opening up a facilities use call, like a major call to use these facilities, I would suggest 1 out of 5 people here that we have MOUs with these entities. So maybe this MOU could be with a certain site, we'll say Bixby, that's not being used, but part of that MOU is that they have to pay for maintenance. So now we're no longer paying for maintenance. And of course, they would hire our team for maintenance, right? Fine. But the goal is make them cover the fee of maintenance, and then maybe we could give them a discounted rate of how much we charge them. That's really important. The discounted rate is really important because what if a team wants to use that field for 6 months? They cannot afford the daily rate at 6 months. That's unattainable. That's inaccessible. That's why they're not being used to the maximum potential. So I would suggest really looking at, okay, if someone wants a 6-month MOU, let's bring down that price. Part of this MOU is you're going to pay to maintain these properties. Now we're saving money, and maybe we could even make some money, charge them a percentage of those fees, not all of the fees, because it's not accessible to have a 6-month facilities use agreement. That's like $10,000. If you're a nonprofit sports league, you can't afford that. So I recommend, giving them at a discounted rate, because we're going to be making money already, but part of the MOU is them pay to maintain it, right? So we're not spending money. Mr. Kwok?
If I may, thank you. So we have different fee schedules depending on the entity, right? I mean, if it's for profit, like for example, I'm just using an example. I'm not saying it's true, but let's say an adult soccer league, right? For profit, that's different than let's say a youth one that's a 501c3. The other part is in terms of the maintenance, is that our district has an affirmative legal liability to maintain these properties, right? And not only that, but we have union agreements as well, right? You're not going to allow somebody to come in that would belong to, let's say, a different union, right? For example, our classified staff, right? And then say, okay, you can go this, and then you're going to go and do it. We can't have that, right? That would basically be wrong because they wouldn't meet the quality of our district, right? And remember, we have a Williams Act affirmative duty there. But I don't want to breach the collective bargaining agreement with our collective bargaining representative regarding that. So I'm just saying, just to be cognizant of it, I think that your idea though is a good one, right? Just generally, but just putting in a little bit more of a specific context to it, that's all. I yield back. Thank you.
Yes, so I think we reiterated quite a few times that we're not interested in taking our own team's job from them. And so thank you for that feedback. So what my suggestion is, right, instead of having schools that are empty and, overgrown, whatever, instead of us paying to maintain them, sign a 6 month at a time MOU, have them pay our team. So if it costs XYZ for our team to maintain it, okay, that's part of the fees. What I'm saying is that to increase accessibility is that the day-to-day fee for a facilities use permit is making it inaccessible to have these large partnerships. And so maybe I think it's important to reevaluate those fees, and those fees should really be either bare bones of what it costs to maintain them, paying us, and maybe just a small additional fee so we can make some sort of profit. But I think the way it currently exists, it's not accessible. So we're trying to increase accessibility. And so we'll discuss this in a further agenda item, more in depth as to things we would like to see there because it's a larger conversation. Do we have anything additional for this item here? Wonderful. So just continue to chew on this and we will be continuing